The envelope arrived on our 10th anniversary. It was plain white, no return address, hand-delivered while Julian was at work. I was in the kitchen, baking the cake he had requested, a lemon drizzle, his favorite, the same flavor I had made for every anniversary of our marriage. I wiped my hands on my apron and opened the envelope without thinking. Inside was a single photograph, printed on glossy paper, dated 3 days ago. It showed my husband, Julian, standing outside a hotel with his arm around a woman who was not me. She was younger, blonde, wearing a diamond ring on her left hand. The same hand that was resting on Julian's chest. The same chest I had fallen asleep on every night for 10 years. My name is Theodora York, but everyone calls me Thea. Julian and I met at a bookshop, reached for the same copy of a novel I can no longer bring myself to read. He was charming, patient, the kind of man who remembered small details and surprised me with flowers on ordinary days. We married a year later, in a garden filled with roses, surrounded by people who told us we were perfect together. I believed them. I believed him. For 10 years, I built a life around that belief. I gave up my career as an architect to raise our 2 children, to support his ambitions, to make our house a home. I thought he was grateful. I thought he was faithful. I was wrong. I didn't call him. I didn't scream. I sat at the kitchen table, the lemon drizzle cooling on the counter, and I studied the photograph. The hotel had a name. The woman had a face. The date was 3 days ago, the night he told me he was working late, the night I ate dinner alone, the night I went to bed without him and didn't think to wonder why. I folded the photograph and tucked it into my pocket. Then I finished the cake. I frosted it, decorated it with the fresh raspberries he loved, and placed it in the refrigerator. When Julian came home, I kissed his cheek and wished him a happy anniversary. He smiled. He thanked me. He said he was the luckiest man in the world. I smiled back. I said I was lucky too. The next morning, I hired a private investigator, a woman named Elena, recommended by a friend who had been through her own marital disaster. Elena was quiet, efficient, and utterly without judgment. I gave her the photograph, told her what I knew, and asked her to find the rest. She worked quickly. Within 2 weeks, she had documented everything. Julian had been seeing the woman, a pharmaceutical sales representative named Celeste, for over 18 months. He had taken her on trips, bought her jewelry, even introduced her to his colleagues as his associate. He had opened a secret credit card to fund their weekends. He had booked hotel rooms in the same city where he attended conferences I thought were real. Elena also discovered that Julian had been siphoning money from our joint accounts. Not large amounts, small, steady withdrawals that added up to over $40,000 in the past year. He was paying for her apartment. He was paying for her car. He was paying for her life while I clipped coupons and bought generic cereal to save money for our children's college fund. I sat in Elena's office, staring at the evidence, and I felt something I had not felt in years. Not sadness. Not rage. Clarity. I knew what I had to do. I confronted Julian on a Thursday night, after the children were asleep. I placed the photograph on the kitchen table, next to the remains of the lemon drizzle cake I had made for our anniversary. His face went pale. His hands began to shake. "Thea," he said. "I can explain." "You can explain nothing," I said. "You can pack your bags. You can move out by the end of the week. You can sign the divorce papers I've already prepared, and you can agree to the terms I've laid out. Or I can take this evidence to your boss, your mother, and every newspaper in the state. Choose." He chose. He packed. He signed. He moved into the apartment he had been paying for, the one meant for Celeste. She left him within a month. Apparently, she had no interest in a man who had lost everything. Julian's career survived. Barely. His reputation did not. The friends who had once admired him now crossed the street to avoid him. His mother, a proud woman who had loved me like a daughter, stopped speaking to him entirely. I kept the house. I kept the children. I kept the lemon drizzle recipe, though I have not made it since. I also kept the photograph. It is in my safe deposit box, along with the rest of the evidence. I don't look at it anymore. I don't need to. It served its purpose. It woke me up. The anniversary gift was never meant to be a gift. It was a warning. A message from someone who wanted me to know the truth. I don't know who sent it. I don't care. Whoever it was, they gave me something more valuable than any diamond or trip or lie. They gave me my freedom. The months after Julian moved out were strange and quiet. The house felt larger without him, the rooms echoing with absences I hadn't noticed when he was there. I filled the silence with small renovations, painting the walls he had chosen, replacing the furniture he had picked out, making the space mine. The children adjusted slowly. They missed their father, even though they didn't understand why he had left. I told them the truth in words they could grasp. Daddy made choices that hurt our family, and now he has to live with the consequences. They cried. I held them. We held each other. I returned to architecture. It had been years since I had drawn a blueprint or consulted with a client, but the skills were still there, buried under diapers and school runs and the careful management of a household. I started small, taking on freelance projects, designing additions and renovations for friends of friends. Within 6 months, I had enough work to rent a small office downtown. Within a year, I had hired an assistant. Within 2, I had a firm with 3 employees and a growing reputation for thoughtful, innovative design. The money Julian had stolen was never fully recovered. The courts awarded me a portion, but most of it was gone, spent on hotels and jewelry and an apartment that now sat empty. I didn't dwell on it. The money was never the point. The point was survival. The point was proving to myself that I could build a life without him. Julian's visits with the children were sporadic at first, then less frequent. He missed birthdays, school plays, parent-teacher conferences. He sent cards with cash inside, as if that could make up for his absence. The children stopped asking when he would come. They stopped waiting by the window. They adapted, as children do, to the new shape of their family. The first year, I was angry. The second year, I was tired. The third year, I was something else. Not healed, exactly, but no longer bleeding. I could think about the affair without my stomach turning. I could remember the photograph without seeing it in my dreams. I could walk past the hotel where they had met and feel nothing but a distant, indifferent recognition. The anniversary gift, the photograph that had arrived in the plain white envelope, remained a mystery. I never learned who sent it. I stopped wondering. Whoever it was, they had done me a favor. They had given me the truth when I was too trusting to find it myself. On the 5th anniversary of my divorce, I hosted a party at my house. Not a dinner party, a garden party, with fairy lights and live music and enough food to feed an army. My children were older now, 9 and 7, helping me decorate, running through the grass with their friends. My colleagues from the firm came, along with neighbors, friends, and a man I had been seeing for the past year. A quiet architect named Marcus who had never been married and seemed in no hurry to change that. Marcus was kind, patient, and utterly unlike Julian. He didn't make grand gestures or empty promises. He just showed up, again and again, proving that he was exactly who he said he was. I was careful with him at first, guarded, slow to trust. He didn't push. He didn't rush. He let me set the pace. When I finally told him about Julian, about the photograph, about the years of betrayal, he listened without judgment. Then he took my hand and said, "Thank you for trusting me." That was the moment I knew. Not with fireworks or grand declarations. With a quiet certainty that settled into my bones. I was ready. Not for a replacement. Not for a savior. For a partner. An equal. A man who would never make me feel like I was auditioning for his love. We married a year later, in the garden where I had first imagined growing old with someone else. The children threw flower petals. The band played a song I had chosen. I wore a dress that was nothing like the first one. That dress was in a box somewhere, a relic of a woman I no longer was. Today, my architecture firm is thriving. My children are healthy and happy and disgustingly good at board games. Marcus is the stepfather they didn't know they needed. And Julian. Julian lives in a small town a few states away. He has a job he hates, an apartment he can barely afford, and a liver that is slowly failing. I don't wish him well. I don't wish him ill. I just don't think about him. The photograph is still in my safe deposit box. I haven't looked at it in years. I don't need to. The woman who received it is not the woman I am now. She was scared, alone, and desperate to believe in a love that was never real. I am not her anymore. I am someone else. Someone stronger. Someone free. The best anniversary gift I ever received was the truth. Have you ever received a gift that changed everything? How did you find the strength to rebuild? Share your story in the comments. Subscribe to Backlash Tales for more stories of survival, justice, and the quiet power of choosing yourself.